What's up, everyone? This is the Godfather Dictator back with chapter 3 of my no damage run, and I'm with Mr.
Sarah from 17.
Yeah, if we fucked up the intro this time, it's my fault.
I wouldn't say it's a fucked up intro. I would just say it's a progressive intro.
Progressive intro. We're changing it a little. So, well, here is the same as many of the early chapter. No save point at the beginning. Multiple wave of enemy. We're getting this Nimpo here that is actually gonna end up the most useful Nimpo probably in the game.
Blades.
Yeah.
So good.
And you see huge slowdown in here because there's so many enemies that got their limb chopped off. I thought there would be an essence waiting for me, but I guess it got delayed.
Yeah.
One
The
thing I
carrier
know.
pigeon got shot down.
Yeah, one thing I noticed in this game, man, right now, is that the essence sometimes from an enemy that is dead takes way too long to actually appear. If you notice me calling
It brings
that,
a whole new meaning to staggered essence, doesn't it?
yes, where multiple time I'm gonna charge, like here you see I did it in the battle and I thought there would be essence lying around, but there is not. And that's something I guess I'll probably never fully familiarize myself with this concept of the enemy sometimes taking so long to dissolve.
I wonder what it is. I wonder if there's actually a case here, if anybody knows what is behind here, what's happening under the hood. Because do you think it matters how you kill them to how long it takes it to populate?
Well, it's hard to say because there's, for instance, a glitch that I've encountered multiple times, and that was really annoying. Is that, we'll say, when you hit the enemy, you know, past their actual HP, if you want. Okay,
Yeah,
there's some enemy that will be delimbed, and you're gonna go with a Y for the OT, and it's never gonna do the OT. You know, it's gonna do like that backward kick, or depend on the weapon you're in, it's just gonna do the regular Y of that weapon. And then if you keep doing it, it's gonna keep hitting the enemy and never fucking do an OT until you hit him. Like here, I thought I made the enemy spawn, and I did not either. You know, being nervous, you see that I didn't spawn any enemy. So you're gonna keep hitting him, but you're thinking, what the fuck is happening? Why is the OT? You know, there's no OT or anything, and you realize that guy has been dead the entire time. But that's the thing in NGB, where if, for example, you were hitting a guy, you know, past his amount of HP, think about it, you would lift him up in the air and he could start dissolving in the air. Same how people use that to their advantage in Karma Run, where if they have, we'll say, tighter timer for a certain encounter, what they're gonna do is they're gonna lift up the enemy and go into an ultimate technique, which is gonna make them dissolve faster, you know? And it's actually a really advanced strategy, but in this game here, it doesn't work like that. And that's why I have no clue if it's the way you kill them, because either you would go with a regular hit, they would take a lot before they're actually down. It's like they have to wait for the animation for them to lie down and fully die. So it's kind of odd. I haven't seen specific occasion where I would tell you, okay, I killed an enemy that specific way and he dissolved faster, which is very weird. The majority of the time, I feel the enemy would take too long to change in their actual essence.
I noticed when you were playing at times where you'd kill enemies and you'd be waiting to do wind path off their head into an on landing, and the essence just wasn't showing up in a timely fashion. So I definitely noticed it, but it's one of those things where back in the day when I used to play, I don't know if I knew enough at that time, because this was the Ninja Gaiden I started on, so I didn't have a frame of reference when I was doing my Master Ninja run. I'd not played Sigma yet.
And if you had played Black, it's guaranteed you would have noticed it.
Oh, no doubt, it's so noticeable just from watching you play Black.
So that's one thing I mean, that's one thing I wish they upgraded in those games. Of course, there's many things I wish they upgraded in those games.
Why would they change it though? You know, much like how in the first game you can stack essence a lot easier and carry it and drag it into a different fight, whereas in this game it seems to be a much more difficult proposition.
Yes.
Like, why change something so
that
skillful
great
and technical and Yeah,
I have no clue. It's
separated good players from great players.
yes, yeah, it's exactly that. It's very odd how they changed some of the stuff, and some of the stuff like that was really good. They just had to change it for no specific reason.
For the sake of change, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of Rainbow Six Siege, this is a fantastic Wings of Redemption sponsored spot. We can snipe all of these wonderful baddies
And-
while never moving and pixel peeking on a Dutch tilt on this little corner here.
Yeah, and actually, I would have never found that spot, on purpose. I kind of found it by accident. And if you notice, I'm kind of shooting through part of the structure here.
Yeah.
Because my dot is on the frame, of that
It's
metal.
on the steel, isn't it? The steel girder in
Yeah.
the corner there.
Yeah, but it goes on with the same when you see some of these enemies shoot through the geometry, where they're
Yeah.
shooting you through truck and shit like that. So at some point, it goes back to what I mentioned multiple times for that game too. It's that you're kind of gonna end up using maybe cheap strategy for cheap enemies. So
Fair is fair in this game.
so, like, I don't feel too bad about using those traps. Plus, this fight here is one of those fights that other guy skipped. And I go out of my way to every single fight that I think is doable and it's not totally exaggerate. I'm gonna do it. Same here. I'm gonna go back down and fight, the mage with the incendiary shuriken ninja. Do I have to do that? Absolutely not. But it makes it more fun, I think. More battle.
Well, it's a more complete run as well.
Like
Nobody
it-
wants to see somebody do a really impressive challenge run where they spend most of the challenge run circumventing the rules of the game.
That was not done on purpose.
No, you can tell. I don't know why that happens when you go to do things like flying swallows off the walls and such, and then you don't get them.
I got lucky here too. You see, I went for a counter and I kind of missed in the middle of the combo, which ended up working for me, but could have been really dangerous actually.
But it's Ninja Gaiden 2, isn't everything dangerous?
And here I'm doing my thing on point. So many close calls. So the Gaiden Joe, when you start getting them on point, it really really important. You see all the explosion when I.
And then was that a whiffed one? Because that looked like a whiffed one to me.
It might have been a whiff one.
Or were
Actually.
you going for a Izuna drop then? Because that's
Yeah.
the start of the Izuna combo, isn't it?
Yeah, it might have been a whiff one though. It's hard to say in the heat of the action, and even when I look back on this, sometimes I'm thinking like, what the hell I was trying to do there, it's on the flow.
It's all about consistency, though. Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
A better player, get more consistent. Then you'll be no
Oh.
damage in it first attack.
There is there such thing as consistency in this game? I mean,
In what reality does anybody think that there is
Lloyd-
that much skill
Lloyd think
involved
there
in what
is.
you're watching? And I don't want to take away from your achievement here, but you've said it yourself numerous times, and I agree wholeheartedly. There is a moment in this game where you realize that most of it is out of your hands.
yes, and you're gonna do it many times. And one of those most noticeable spot where you see because it grinds so much that it's insane is obviously chapter 11. Always
the
going
beginning
back
of
to
chapter
that.
11.
But chapter 11, it makes you show, and I've said it in my video, when I was doing that Rasetsu gauntlet, I told myself, I'm not going to be more satisfied when I do this part simply because I'm going to play the same way, but I'm going to get the good RNG in that try, where I get it. And
Yeah. Ooh! Oh
and,
no!
And a whiff!
Aw.
Whiff again! That,
Ninja Gaiden 2, please.
why did the enemy get a kickback like this after that move? I do a counter attack, and they're not in range for me to straight up OT them after. I feel it's such a wasted opportunity from the game,
It makes you wonder, does it have a knockback properties on other enemies when you do that? Maybe it gives you a bit of a grace period, because other than that, all it does is mean that you have to move and risk danger to OT him.
Yes, because that guy usually, what he does? He goes for that little fucking backflip, and then he
Yeah.
throws some tree shuriken. And I mean, if you take shuriken damage, you take damage. So
It still counts, right?
yeah.
Doesn't matter if you stub your toe in this game, it's damage.
Yeah, and how many times did you hear me say, "Oh, I know I took damage from a single shuriken and went to take the healing item," and it was actually the case where I knew I took damage, and sometimes people didn't even notice it, But
No, it's almost like Resident Evil 2 remake. You know the problem we had when your fine could change to a different color because you'd technically taken damage,
yes,
but there was no real way to tell.
yes,
I don't like that. I
no.
like it to be very easily identified when you are hurt.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with this, and I think that's what something that was happening with Mr. X, if I recall, where there's certain of these grab that would put you, so you would still stay in their green state, but it would be more like yellowish, and that's how you would know that you took a little bit of damage, but
It used to happen when the jogs jumped on you as well.
yes,
Sometimes a dog would jump on you and it wouldn't hurt you, and other times it would.
yes, that is extremely odd too. There's a couple of things I say that when they do in those games, it should be indeed very clear on how you took damage and where, and not be wondering like, oh, or you check later on. We'll say you took previous damage from something else, but you didn't know, and then you check later on and you realize that you previously took damage, but you never saw
There
it.
we go. Big boy Van Gelfs.
Yes, but good thing there's only one in here. And this fight goes surprisingly well.
Did you see how quick you killed that?
Yes.
That's a gold Van Gelf, sir. I'll have you know you should show him some respect.
Dude, they show me some respect when they one-hit me with that same attack they
Killed
do
him
at the
in the
beginning.
frame. Poor guy.
Like, if you don't move at the beginning of that fight, you always get
Does he
Instagram.
jump at you?
Yeah,
jump
you
at
always get Instagram, and you either die in one hit, if I recall, from that, from that damage, or you're pretty low on health.
Look
and
at this damage system.
and it was awesome actually, because that fight, if I recall, the first time I got here, I did it my first go. It actually ended up working really great. And if you stay, we'll say out of their way, with the camera, and you keep doing the forward Y move.
It does seem to pacify them a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. And if you keep them in your camera, they will do this, what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
The fiery
They'll breathe,
breath.
they'll run at you, they'll jump.
They'll jump the fiery breath and the tree projectile
Yeah.
volley. So,
And everybody's favourite running elbow.
yes.
I feel like that running elbow is so much worse in Razor's Edge because they have this gift of hitting you just as you try to evade.
Yes, that seemed like something they would do, but I mean, in here, is it blockable though? As far as I call it,
I think it is.
I think it is. In Razor Edge, is it? Or it's not? It's like a guard break move, maybe?
It probably makes it so that you have to guard reset, but I think you probably can.
That was
the fun
very
thing about
lucky.
Razor's Edge is you're probably already in a graveyard spin, so it doesn't matter because you've got 9 million iframes. But
Graveyard spin. That's the description of the game, basically. What description of the game would you have for Razor's Edge? Graveyard spin.
yeah, pretty much. Oh, please don't buy Ninja Gaiden 2.
Oh my god, that was actually close here. Good thing I've used an Impo. And you know why I've used an Impo there, right?
Is there a crate coming up that's got a refill?
Yes.
But it's rare when you use an Impo, so it means something every time you see it, and that's something that as the viewers will obviously see themselves. If you see Godfather using an Impo, it's probably a lot more thought out than you think, because you do not use them in many cases where I probably would myself, because I use them as panic buttons a lot of the times, and it seems like you'd rather take a hit or a death and get through it without the resource being used than to have that safety. And I think it makes this more interesting to watch because of that.
Well, yes, it's also not gonna say this, is that when you do a certain amount of fight and you see, how it happened. We'll say if you did a fight 50 times in a row, and you get an idea roughly on how much Nimpo you can use or cannot use, and you start seeing a potential. Obviously, it's like I'm gonna always try to make it as entertaining to watch as possible. And to me, one of those things is to not abuse something like that is really strong, give you big iframe,
Nimpo is exceptionally strong as well.
It is. So that's why there's gonna be some situation where at first, remember, I was committed to not using it, and then I ended up using it, and go back to the same example. First checkpoint from chapter 11. It always goes back to there, but it's because it's such a hard chapter that when you try, doing it at first using the minimum amount of Nimpo, you realize that you're actually making it really hard on yourself. And for some reason here, I was actually trying to do a combo against that guy, believe it or not, trying to look cool, and I ended up like the worst fucking fight you can see in my entire life. I don't know what was that. The combo
Fancy
would
combos.
combo would not connect. Like that's pretty
There's
much
only one combo. Hold Y.
right. Forward Y, hold Y. It works. So there another Van Gelf, and then we have another section with multiple golden Van Gelf. And now because we're getting close to the next fight, I'm gonna call it ahead so that people are not surprised. I lost the original footage of the next fight. I have no clue what happened. Like I did it on stream, and I lost also the VOD. I know you were there though when I did that fight, which
Yes, I saw it. Yeah.
which is kind of a shame that I lost the original fight, because I don't remember the last time I actually lost a file for a fucking project, to be honest. Like I have no clue what happened. Maybe someday I will find it, you know, hiding.
That's the bittersweet irony, though, isn't it? You could lose a file for any other project and it wouldn't mean anything because you could probably re-record it easily, or it didn't mean much. Whereas this is one of the most meaningful series you've ever done, because this is literally something that hasn't really ever been done. So
Yes.
of all the times to lose footage, this was the worst one.
Yes. Good thing though, it's not like that important of a fight in a way that the only thing you're gonna see is me. I turned off the karma obviously because I didn't have some save up to chapter 3. You know, the closest I had was I think chapter 5. And here for some reason my arrows are not hitting. Do you see that? I'm straight on the Van Gelf. Like, am I not
his
on
arm
it right
as well,
now?
it's just-
Like, what the
this
fuck?
is- This is like Black Ops 4 hit detection.
It's awful. I feel like I'm shooting on it right now, and okay, now it end up working, like, which is
That was nonsense.
that was really weird. And then I know there's gonna be one down. So basically, guys, the only difference is that you're gonna see me close the karma, because obviously it's another run and it's impossible to get the same amount of karma for the same fight that you do twice in a row. Like, I feel like it's highly unlikely actually that you will get the same fight with the same amount of point twice in a row. So that's pretty much it. After this one, you're gonna see me turn up the karma for that specific reason. And I also don't use more resources. I wasn't sure if I've used Nimpo in the previous run, so in this one I was like, I'm not gonna use anything. I could have also upgraded to the claws level 3, but again, it doesn't fit the original run, so I did everything to keep it like the original run, basically, you know. It's just, again, a shame that
turns the camera off and then turns his hacks on.
Yeah.
And then does it really easily and then turns them off.
like it's the aimbot and all. You're gonna see me shoot through walls.
Well, I did think a couple of those arrows were a bit suspicious, but I didn't want to say anything.
Right? I mean, that was the hack on, but it was not detecting properly on the golden Van Gelf. So that's why. And then we get to that section here, and you guys will see, I'm calling ahead, there's not going to be karma for that fight, which is kind of a shame. But
There's a transition.
It ended up being the same freaking fight, you know. Even this part, I actually did it a little bit better, because you know what I was doing in my previous fight? I was using the forward Y actually with the claws, and while it would be good, it would end up kicking me in the water down there, so I would have to go back up, you know. So like,
This is a frustrating sequence with the platforming in the water.
yes, it's kind of annoying. So this one was more fluid, so I was like, I'm gonna keep it, you know. And that was the fight that I realized when I was editing the video, that I get to the next part and I'm like, where the fuck is that fight, you know? And I have no clue, guys, where is the original fight of that. It's a shame that I could not save the VOD from that. And if I ever do like a project that's similar to that, I think I'm gonna do what you suggested me, and like we'll say, keep the old VOD from the whole series, you know.
Yeah, I think if you'd have been able to save this journey as a VOD on Twitch, I think it would be biblical, because people are going to watch these videos, they're going to listen to us speak, they're going to accuse me of brown-nosing you, and they're going to say things along the lines of, oh, I think I could do that, or oh, I'm pretty good at this game, I don't see why this is so difficult. But they don't understand what goes into it when if you are of the ilk to make that kind of comment, you don't know Ninja Gaiden 2 enough. And I think I can speak for a lot of people who know Ninja Gaiden 2 at least decently. This is such an evil game and such a difficult game to even beat, let alone do it in such a manner. So this journey that we've been on now, because this has not been a 1 day thing. This has not been a 7 hour gauntlet, guys. Godfather's been recording this for weeks now. It's been a long time, suffering and misery, and to see that fortitude live and to go back and visit those moments, it's going to be something really interesting. And I think a lot of people who will watch this will probably kick themselves that they perhaps didn't know about your stream or weren't there to see it, because you do not see the failed attempts, and the failed attempts are many.
They come they come in the hundred and even thousands of fucking retry, I would say. I wanted to mention, by the way, that trick that I'm using right now is a courtesy of Master Lubu, that told me that instead of shooting the archer in the doorway on top, that you could shoot them from there and they would just keep running towards you. So that's a really neat trick.
Thank you, Lubu, with the tech.
Yeah, thank you, Lubu, for that. There's actually going to be a couple of times, where I'm going to do some special mention to the people that suggested strategy in my stream for certain section, which I really appreciate, It's really nice to have those guys that play the game. Now they see me do it here, different strategy. But if they see that I would struggle too much, like, let's go back to the basic strategy, and find the shit.
Oh, those bats in that room.
Yeah, no. We're good. It was just for the arrow. No, the bats is the other section. If I had fall down, where you meet the first Van Gelf after going down that pipe. Yeah, that's the section where if you fall down, you got those evil bats. Yeah, but fuck these bats. You want to try to avoid them as much as possible. These are the fiend bat that I was telling about. That do not die with a single
the
UT.
rich piano bats.
Yeah, my god, these guys, dude, they should be deleted. That's one enemy that should not be in the game. If they did, we'll say a NG2 black, that would be an enemy that you would not see. Well, hopefully, if they were smart enough.
In NG2 black, sorry, we could have IS ninjas that instead of throwing incendiary shurikens, throw green essence at you. So they think that they're bombarding you with hell, we're just healing you. Best game change ever, right?
Well, you could do it. You could just tone down the amount of incendiary they can shoot at you.
You could give them a limited supply instead of giving them infinite.
Or one thing that could be good is what we also said the other time is
cut both their arms off. Best strategy ever.
Or smoke bomb.
Handy-capable ninjas.
Like, smoke bomb could have helped, I feel, make this a lot better. Because
I concur.
You could have had a little bit of breathing room. And here in this next section, I could have fought them down there. The big problem with this is
this is an awkward fight, this one.
Yeah, also it's because, how it kind of drops down? Did
the game just automatically lock you onto the fan then when you aimed?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Ninja Gaiden, why?
Yes. The weird prioritization that it does sometimes. One of the most noticeable one is, that section where you're on water with all those multi-rocket guy?
Yeah.
And there's those searchlight. If, for example...
Chapter 9, right? Everybody's favorite.
Yeah, if you don't destroy those little tiki torch, Ryu will prioritize those in aiming around. Why? I don't know.
A weapon to surpass Metal Gear, right? Everybody thought it was crab with knife, but it's actually tiki torch.
Yeah, and why? I don't know, because these things don't drop essence or anything, so it's to me it's really weird on why he would even prioritize this object,
Yeah.
And
it's not like you can use it to set up an introductory UT or anything. It's just bizarre.
It's really weird. And here, actually, it's funny how when you fight those guys on the distance like this, and their moving pattern is really awkward. I feel they did it really so that it's really hard to line up a guillotine throw on them when they're moving around, because if not, like all these other guys, those gray ninja, I feel they move pretty slow if we compare them to these guys and the purple ninja. These guys are the worst. They go kind of like a circular pattern
Yeah,
that.
they move laterally to you, and I think they do it that way so that they cut you off rather than being able to move out of their way. Because you'll notice that, when you're running one direction, they will be essentially just cutting the pie and getting in front of you, even if no matter what direction you're moving, they're really good at strafing.
Yes, they are. To put it lightly, they're really good. And one thing here, you see that's nice because there's an archer on top, and that archer basically, once you finish killing the red ninja, there's two of them. But if there's one that is active and one that's inactive, the one that is inactive will try to attack you with melee, which is why he was running straight for me. And then after, when I killed this one, there was only one left, so the other one, well, went straight for me,
Yeah.
And it's a really cool strat, because if not, it's really easy to get hit there. And one thing I recommend here is do not go on top. Do not go.
Do not surface.
Do not surface, because I mean, you're not gonna like that surprise here. And even here, it's actually a scary surface. It's a very scary surface here.
That's nonsense. I wish I could put some modded files into this game, so every time the bats flap their wings, it's a different Rich Piana quote. They would be the ultimate bro bats. That would be superb.
That would be funny, actually. And here, I don't know. Usually, there's two red ninja, and I don't know if I kill one.
Don't
maybe
they fall out of this chute here?
Yeah, but I don't know if I killed maybe one with the nympho before, or if one fell in the water by accident, but there was only one there. It was kind of odd.
Why did they put so many archers on this part? It's satanic at this point.
I think it's for how pretty they look.
Like, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate grey ninjas. You really appreciate them when you're fighting other things, because they're just kind of like quintessential Ninja Gaiden, aren't they? They're the simple fodder guys, they're dangerous, they're fun. They can still be a bitch, but fundamentally they're not as bad as some other things. But when you give them a bow, it just cheat codes McGee.
Yes, but well, actually, they could give them a sniper, because that's what they have. And here,
they might as well just say it's high noon, right? Every time you meet one.
Yeah, you're almost guaranteed to get hit. And by the way, for those here that was thinking maybe I would skip the fight, no, I'm combining those two fights, dude. Come on.
Pillbugs and Van Gelfs.
Yeah. It is actually in Miss UT. That's kind of
That
suck.
happened though. That don't make sense.
It was close to me, and I just whiffed. But there's something really...
Iframes from the jump attack. Good to see.
Yeah, there's something... Yeah, that was nice. There's something really satisfying also about hitting, like, group of enemy like this, and seeing them all fall, and you get like 100 hit combo or something.
Yeah. It is really satisfying getting a good UT on a group of enemies.
And also, it goes back to what we mentioned, I think maybe in another chapter, but combining fight, even if it sounds crazy sometimes, it ends up working great, because you're going to use less resources usually. Because this way, you're going to use the resources you would have probably used on the first fight, but you're going to use them on those five combined.
It can also be quicker too, because you're hitting so many enemies with the same move that you'll end up doing less attacks.
Yes, because also it's easier to connect, because there's a huge group of enemy here. Again, really odd. Maybe it's because he was spawning at the same time that it did not hit. Not sure 100%. Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 2 works in mysterious ways.
Fortunately for me, though, I had other essence lying around, so that did help me out. But this fight, I remember having a bit of a hard time. It took me a couple of retries, because there's obviously a huge amount of enemies, and sometimes if you do a UT and you whiff, but you don't have essence lying around, it puts you usually in like problematic situation. But
yeah, if you get stuck in recovery frames here, the bugs are just going to sit on your face.
Yes, and they do actually massive damage on this one. Even if we compare them to the one in NG Black, their damage is a lot greater.
I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't. It looks to me like the programmer asked Itagaki what they want to do with this enemy that they're bringing back, and he simply just said to him, make them harder. So without any imagination or any character or flair, they just increased some variables in the laziest possible fashion, and thus now they do nuclear damage.
Yeah, but well, that sounds like something they would have done actually, because when he said we like bats, who thought that was gonna put those fucking fiend bat? You know, you thought they was gonna say, okay, he's like that. Let's put back like in
Well,
GB.
that entire scene in that documentary just boggles my mind.
It does.
I can't imagine anybody but him saying that sentence.
That
It would be cool if there were bats there. Do you know anyone that plays Ninja Gaiden and has ever used the phrase cool to describe the bats?
I have not, and
It's never happened.
And
it
even-
doesn't exist.
and even in NGB, for example, as much as I love the bat, and I think that they're like the right enemy if you want, in a way that you kill them with one shuriken, they're a popcorn enemy, so it's intended to what it's supposed to do. But
Yeah, to give you a bit of essence so you can then chain it into the next fight. You
But-
can use the bats intelligently, right?
and then
maybe?
yeah, you can. But in the no damage run, there's a lot of time where you would actually get the counter attack there was really satisfying.
That was really nice, yeah.
So there's a lot of time where you end up, I would end up getting hit by the bat actually, because it's tiny chip damage and it's extremely easy for it to happen. So these enemy, even if I think in NG Black they had the right idea on how they make them, they're still annoying with all of this, you know?
They remind me of the old school platformers. You know how in the old school platformers every enemy's body is a hitbox, and if you simply touch them and they exist, you take damage? That's what the
Yes.
bats remind me of. They just fly into you, and then you just see your life bar drip away. And if you don't put them down quickly with, shurikens or the flail or whatever it is you want to deal with it can become a big nuisance.
By the way, that's the Genshin technique here. I don't know if you noticed, the other guy, he has one foot left, and he's actually shooting me with his bow. So Genshin is like training his ninja on the art of being more deadly when they're missing some limbs.
Yeah, the desperation arbalist technique. What a beast.
Yes, and the worst one, I think we can all agree, and here I don't know, I didn't get hit, by the way. I'm actually surprised now that I'm watching this. There was two
That
archer,
looked crazy.
there are two archer shooting at me, and you'll see that's not done, by the way. I'm telling you a spoiler right now, but there's still one that's alive down there, and I didn't notice, and he's gonna shoot at me. Until before going to save, I realized that he's not dead, and that incendiary shuriken simply knocked him down. So that was also a really close call, in a way that I could have took damage straight after that fight, thinking it was complete. So that's why, look, you see he's right there, and I actually didn't even see him at first, and I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then I go down and look at that weird guillotine Joe that he goes like 100 miles in the air.
That was like an inverted slide up the wall.
That was really odd. But that's why, ladies and gentlemen, never cry victory too early in this game. I don't remember how many times I was doing certain section and the section was not done, and you saw people in the chat, going GG. I was like, no, don't tell me GG. It's not done. Like, you're gonna jinx it right now.
Yeah, that was only one section though. From what I've seen, I think people are usually a bit better than that.
Yes.
Like, I couldn't remember that you couldn't go back after the Resetsu dog shake fight and save. So I didn't realize that when you dropped through that next area that you were still on the same checkpoint. And the moment I did, I felt sick.
I remember. You told me you actually had a little bit
Yeah,
of.
I was getting real bad anxiety, dude. It was not fun for me to watch that. And you kept cool and you did it, and it was awesome. But yeah, I felt. I'm not good at that. Like, it's like, when you watch those talent shows on TV and somebody comes on and I'm the best singer in the world. My mum and dad think I'm great. They put all my songs on the fridge, and you're sitting there thinking he's going to suck. This is going to be awful. And then they start singing. It's awful. I'm the guy that has both hands on his face and one of his feet on his face because I can't look at the TV.
Oh my god. Yeah, because you're almost feeling it for the person.
Yeah, I'm suffering for them, and it was the same with the tension of your run. Like, every time it gets tense, I get very nervous too.
You see, only good
You live
person.
vicariously through the people doing whatever it is they do.
Right? Yeah, but only a good person would try to put themselves in another
Oh,
one's
dude,
shoes.
if I could choose not to, I would love not to. But I'm with it. I'm in this roller coaster ride with you when I'm watching.
Yeah, and also what is nice is another thing where you miss certain part of that run, but now you get to see them, all of them. And did you see the arrow that went past my head? Did you see the arrow that went past my head?
He's trying to shoot the wings off a fly, dude, and he's failing. That's why Morgan Freeman told him to go to Genshin and train to use a bow with one leg.
Right? But you see, that's one of those moments I feel when if they're not facing you in your camera view, sometimes, just sometimes, they will have no aim.
Period.
Yeah, they cannot aim at you, and that was the case here because there was a few instances where that archer would not spawn. In that case, he spawned. I was not expecting it, and then it ended up not hitting me, which was like really nice. And here,
if he was on camera, he would aimbot you.
Yeah, he would.
You don't have him on camera; it must give him a lower accuracy.
That's
or
the only
inability to track.
That's the only reason. If not, yeah, definitely would have been killed. Here, I have to say, it's one annoying fight. Yeah, it's one annoying fight.
This is a very difficult fight.
It's not an easy fight. I mean, you have a good bit of margin of maneuver. I think you can go around, move quite a bit. But the Golden Van Gelf in that situation can be really problematic. And it goes back to what I told you about that enemy prioritization, where sometimes there's going to be one enemy jumping in and attacking you, but then it's going to do an enemy switch to another one, and you got to be ready for those type of switch, and they happen.
It is interesting because it's one of those things where you don't really notice it that much unless somebody tells you. Like watching this now with you after you've mentioned, them taking turns, it's so obvious that they're not all attacking at the same time.
Yes, and I feel like that's a plan to fuck up with you, basically, because there's going to be those instances, we'll say, if that guy is attacking me, okay, and I'm going for a forward square with the Lunar for a D-limb, sometimes I will D-limb, but then they're going to run back because they're not, like, the enemy prioritizing attacking me anymore, so they're like, I have to chase them for that OT, and that's these time where it's going to be really dangerous, because you do not want to be chasing freaking OT after those guys. Like, this is the thing. You want them, as soon as you D-limb, they're in front of you, you want to be able to kill them. So now, come to everyone's favorite boss.
Greatest boss in the game.
What to say about this boss, man?
Well, there are times when I wonder, when it comes to, the Renaissance period in Italy, where the finest of artworks came from. I think the original concept was in the notebook of Leonardo da Vinci, right, of this particular creature. And Itagaki knew this and thought, if I put it in the game, it'll be this wonderful celebration of, humanity and artistry and everything that is fantastic. Oh, wait, no, it's Giga shit. The worst boss in the game.
And by the way, here is just a fucking ear rape in terms of sound, because like you have all the electricity from him, and then you doing the ultimate technique and all of that. Also, one thing that I have no idea why they did that, and maybe you can tell me, but I doubt you will be able to. Why the hell do they put those shitty fish that don't have the same priorities or proprieties as the regular fucking ghost fish? What are those fish actually?
I think this is just Team Ninja hates humanity, and this is their dark Bible on exactly how they would kill us all in the misanthropic manner that they do. So, like, there's no justifying almost anything that's in this fight. The only good thing I can say about this fight is that he takes good damage when you connect right, and that he looks kind of cool. Everything else is just, here's a whiteboard full of shit ideas. We'll go ahead with all of them.
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I think that was a lot of fucking attempt before I got it, and this one, I was surprised on how cooperative he was, and it's very rare that here, that's why I went for the bow UT.
The bow does so much damage.
Because I knew he was close, but I kept fucking OT him.
With the OT.
It was the position he's in. Every time
when
I
he's
was trying
inverted
to
like
lie,
that, I don't think he can.
Yeah, it was doing the regular combo. Anyway, really unfortunate for that, but I think overall it was a pretty awesome fight. So I hope everyone enjoyed Chapter 3, and I'm going to let Mr. Seraphim conclude.
Yeah, fuck that boss. Thank you for watching. You take care now.